Hey folks, 8-Bit Dave coming at you from the country again. And last weekend I made a video about my favorite crypto hex, and that's what today's video is going to be about. So now this is after the big payday, and a lot of people were caught off guard by the OA staking and the amount of coins being distributed shrinking. However, in the end, it had a positive effect. Honestly, I was looking forward to buying at prices even cheaper. I thought with all the people that would be unstaking and their coins coming due to be unstaked, I thought the price was going to drop a lot further. I was looking forward to perhaps loading up on some extra hex at 5 sats. Didn't pan out that way. However, I still managed to buy some. I guess there was a big dumper who was exiting, and just before the coins were distributed for the big payday, in that dead day, I managed to buy some and take advantage of the cheap T-share price on that day, and I loaded up again. So that was really nice. So I didn't get the big dump that I wanted. However, you know, I got some kind of a dump, and it's bringing me that much closer to my second staking ladder that I'm working on. I want to have 1,000 T-shares on a monthly basis that come undone every month going forward at a point in the future. Now, I'm hoping that in the next few days, maybe there's, as more people come unstaked, there might be a little price drop here and there, but given that I'm spending less time trading, I've decided to do what I said in my last video there. I'm just re-entering the Uniswap liquidity pool. I entered a little bit yesterday, and I'm going to kind of move into the liquidity pool again, so that way if there is big price drops and fluctuations, that I can gather a little bit in fees. And if it turns out one day I look and hey, the price has dropped a lot, that I can remove my hex and my ETH, and I can take my hex and stake it and continue working on the ladder. And if that doesn't work out the way I planned, I'm just honestly dollar cost averaging in slowly, and I'll just keep doing that for the next few months till I have my 1,000 T-shares, and I'll be happy with that. A lot of people that were caught off guard probably might not have seen all of Richard Hart's videos. We don't know who the OA is. However, we know Richard Hart is the founder of this coin, and one thing that he talks about is how he feels Keynesian economics is superior to Austrian economics, and that might be a controversial thing to say, but just give me a second to explain. Keynesian economics, it has a bad rap in that a lot of people feel it just means endlessly inflating the money supply, which in practice is what a lot of central banks seem to do, and why it's so hard to save for retirement, and why cryptocurrency exists. However, the true definition is, in a Keynesian economics, you expand and contract the supply. That's the second part. You contract the supply when there's going to be a surplus. And essentially, in a roundabout way, the OA, being the largest holder of hex, caused a contraction in the supply by them staking, which is perfectly fine. There's, you know, no manipulation of the code or anything like that, or any backdoor sneakiness. It just, some people weren't expecting it. Personally, I kind of was. I didn't think it would be at that level, but in the end, it all panned out. I mean, I got a bit of a price drop to load up on some extra hex, and you know, everybody else who maybe didn't want a price drop, or they're fully staked, or whatever their case is, the coins didn't drop as much as, you know, I had predicted. So it's kind of a win-win. Now, looking forward, as I said, I'm going to be entering the liquidity pool again. So I'm kind of excited about that. One thing too that I want to point out is, you know, there was the adoption amplifier, and that phase is over. However, I kind of feel like that's a misnaming. I feel this last year wasn't the adoption phase of hex. To me, I feel like it should be known as the distribution phase. Kind of like when BTC had its 50 Bitcoin block reward, and there was the halving, and that always gets cut down, and the distribution starts diminishing, and then the adoption needs to kick in. And we have the similar situation. The distribution phase is done now. Now the only increase in supply of coins is only from interest from staking. So now I look at this as the critical adoption phase. This is the point where you want to grow the network, grow the community. One thing that I liked about Hex was, we're the first community to actively support Uniswap, and I like to see us being the first community that actively supports more level 2 solutions. And you see that already. People using ZK Sync. There's, optimistic roll-ups. Me personally, I've been playing around with the sister chain, the XDAI stake, and I think by growing where we are as a network and the things that we're doing, I think that'll be critical as things move forward. We don't want to be that community that's stuck in the Stone Age and everything else has moved on. Who knows what the future brings? The future might not even be liquidity in Uniswap. So those of you who are thinking about diving into coins that are locking up stuff in Uniswap, which is going on, and locking it up permanently with no admin keys, you better hope that 10 years from now, when your stakes come done in the Hex copycat coin, that that liquidity is still there. Because honestly, that's a little bit of a gutsy move to trust a contract. Like right now, if it turns out there's problems with Uniswap, I'd be withdrawing so fast it would make your head spin. And just, a word of caution, I'm not trying to knock anybody else's project or other ideas or whatever. Just something that would make me a little trepidatious is just being involved in a contract that relies on version 2 Uniswap forever, because we know version 3 is coming out, and I have a feeling if Ethereum gas prices keep going up, and if the way Ethereum is working now, the version 1 is unsustainable, because some people are calling for $1,000 Ethereum or $5,000 Ethereum. What's your gas price going to be to use version 2 Uniswap? There might come a time in the next few years where there's zero liquidity there, and all the liquidity might be in a version 3 or 4 or 5 Uniswap that is using some kind of level 2 scaling solution. Perhaps, some kind of optimistic roll-up. Perhaps it's routing through some kind of side chain. I don't know. It might even be using a network like Raiden, which I actually follow. And, there's still a little pipsqueak of a thing. But it's interesting nonetheless. So we don't know where the liquidity is going to sit in the future. So for me, I'm happy with how Hex is. I'm happy that the community is always looking to push forward and not mounting a flag at some stagnant position that can't move, right? So right now, the OA has a huge liquid supply of Hex. So far, they've never dumped any of it. Just like Satoshi hasn't dumped any of his coins. And, even if the OA was selling tiny fractional amounts, wouldn't bother me. But I like the idea that there is some liquidity there in a worst case scenario, that if the Hex ecosystem had to switch where the liquidity is, that the liquidity could be there, that there could be some for sale elsewhere. Or I want you to even think about this. Suppose Ethereum becomes so congested it becomes completely 100% unusable. Ethereum fails. Well, Hex has several options. We could take the system state and we could move it to another chain. So it could be dropped on Tron, which, whatever. But, hypothetically, it could be dropped on Ethereum Classic or any Solidity-based system, which there's a few of. Or perhaps some sidechain. It could exclusively exist on XDAI or something like that. The other option is, if that doesn't appear to work or the community disagrees with that, we could take the system state and make our own chain. All you got to do is make a fork of Ethereum, and we'd come up with our own governance principles and just use that going forward. And then for trading, maybe using some kind of polka dot chain thing that, cross-chain liquidity provider and all these other things. We don't know what the future brings. But again, this is just another warning. I'm not trying to knock anybody else's hard work or project. This is just something that concerns me. I don't give financial advice. I just think about myself because that's how I am. I want you to think about this. Let's say you had a coin and you locked a big pile of liquidity in Uniswap version 2 or some clone or derivative thereof, and there is no admin key, there is no way to move that liquidity. Now Ethereum becomes congested or fails. Suppose Ethereum fails when version 2 comes out, and then you say, okay, we're going to take our community and move. How do you get your Ethereum out of the Uniswap? You can't. It's stuck. There is no backdoor for Uniswap. So personally, going forward, I'm sticking with Hex. Again, I look at the menu, I look at everything, and if you're invested in any of these other coins that are doing these things, that's fine. That bothers me. And I realize you want everything to be decentralized in this world, and it kind of sucks that Satoshi holds all the Bitcoin, but these are the things that are a fact of life, and maybe sometimes things are just meant to be the way they are, and they tend to work out that way for a reason. There's a reason why centralization has worked so great in all of human history. Not for everything, but once in a while you need human interference. I wouldn't want a decentralized blockchain monitoring my property because I'm on the water. The amount of land I have is always shrinking. Should I pay tax for things that I don't own anymore? There is cases where once in a while you actually want a little bit of human intervention, and those cases are for when things don't go as planned, which happens. So that's my thoughts on Hex this week and its competing coins. I'm a little bit nervous about things being locked up permanently in Uniswap. So personally, I'm saying no to the copycat coins. I'll just be sticking with Hex. And as I said in my last video, you want to stay with the best of breed. And for me, in terms of cold staking coins, Hex is best of breed in that. Thank you very much for watching.